except maybe PTA. That is clear to everybody. So when you are placed in a public school, you know you are just going to pick the prospectus and that is it. Is that the case for the private schools? This clarity needs to be brought to bear on all of us. So I'm calling on the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service and the Association of Private Schools to come clear on what parents should expect as they prepare to take the awards to the private schools that they have been placed in. We want uniformity, we want standardization. We don't want a situation whereby a private school will say, government is giving us this amount, these parents, you have to pay that amount to be able to support us in doing A, B, C, and D. If that is going to happen, that needs to be communicated clearly to the parents, and it should be standardized. And I think this clarity needs to come as early as possible so that we avoid any chaos and whatever it is. But if that even becomes the case, then it's going to bring to therefore a lot of questions. Are we better off doing this kind of policy? Because which parents should go and pay additional money to private schools, and which parents should enjoy free education in the public school? That conversation needs to be had. But for now, I think we need clarity on that, the modalities that parents whose wards are in the private schools would have to follow.
Right then, Doc, we'll leave it here. I'm sure that this demand for a bit more in terms of clarity is one that we're asking here as well, and we'll seek to push and get these answers. But Dr. Peter Partey is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. He joined us this afternoon for that conversation.
Now, the Western Regional Poultry Farmers Association is calling on government to consider the risk of inexperience and bird mortality in the implementation of its Nkoko Kitin policy, while expressing its wholehearted support for this policy's objectives. The association has expressed concerns about distributing broilers to non-poultry farmers or inexperienced groups, which carries a high risk of failure. Let's have a quick chat with Irama Smith, our Western Region correspondent. Irama, talk to us about the risks the farmers highlighted during this conference. What else did they say?
So, you know, government in Nkoko Kitin policy under the Feed Ghana program is meant to help boost the local poultry industry and also reduce the over-reliance on imported poultry. And as you may well know, currently government or Ghana imports 6 million metric tons of poultry annually. And this is causing havoc on our city, right? So with this 200 million cedis being invested into the local poultry industry, 10,000 live birds are being distributed to each constituency. And it is based on this project that the Western Regional Poultry Farmers Association, which is, by the way, lauding the program as is generally being lauded across the country, is raising concerns about the sustainability, because they believe that this should be handled by experienced hands. And so they are calling on government to ensure that this is done so that it will ensure the success of the program. They have mentioned the threat of disease outbreak when, the poultry is being handled by inexperienced hands and there's such an epidemic, how this could affect the mortality rate and actually kill the project before it's able to achieve some successes. So this, among other things, are the issues that they are raising. You may listen to the Western Regional Chairman of the association.
Distributing broilers to non-poultry farmers or inexperienced group at the constituency level carries a high risk of failure. Broiler requires specialized knowledge in feed regime, housing, vaccination, and stress management. Without adequate training, mortality rate could be high, undermining the program's goals. The sudden introduction of a large number of birds across the country without a coordinated biosecurity protocol could lead to devastating disease outbreak like bird flu. This would not only jeopardize the Kokon Kitinkiti program, but could also cripple the existing poultry industry we have worked hard to build.
Well, Irama, what are the solutions they recommend?
Right, so they are urging government to implement a hands-on training program for all beneficiaries, and they are willing to participate in this so that those who are going to benefit will have the practical know-how. It should be mandatory, should have the practical know-how before they start this process. They are also urging government to also implement a buyback policy whereby when they are ready for the market, government will buy them back and perhaps put them onto the market at subsidized rates or however governments want to go by it. This, they are also calling for these to be bought by government and then fed to our schools, that's the second cycle institutions, to ensure that there is always a ready market for these for this produce. You may listen to the chairman.
We urge the government to mandate comprehensive handout training for all beneficiaries receiving the free birds before distribution in the future. We are willing to collaborate in developing and delivering this essential training for future programs. We propose the establishment of a strict government-supported veterinary and biosecurity monitoring framework for all beneficiaries in partnership with existing farm associations.
Irama, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Irama Smith is our Western Region correspondent.
President John Mahama has held bilateral discussions with the Grenadian Prime Minister Dikin Amis Michel at the Jubilee House. President Mahama says government is committed to ensuring the full implementation of a memorandum of understanding on a visa waiver between the two countries. The Prime Minister is on a 2-day visit officially to the country.
Our relationships are historical, and we believe that rather than the ocean being a barrier to our relationship, it must rather bring us closer together. We are happy that your visit will allow us to continue with the rapprochement that we've been engaged in, especially with the MOUs that we have signed. One being the MOU on political consultation, and I'm happy that yesterday our two foreign ministers could sit and have that consultation so that based on the shared values that we have, we can take common positions at international meetings. And so we are happy that that took place yesterday. We also have the MOU on trade, culture, and education. And my hope is that your visit will deepen that even further. We have the MOU on visa waiver for each other's citizens, which is in operation. We've had a few complaints of a few Grenadian citizens, who didn't have a very good experience, but we're asking the Foreign Ministry to sort it out so that we can fully implement the visa waiver for all categories of passports, diplomatic service and ordinary passports. Our two citizens should be able to travel freely between each other, and so it's something that we'll work on to make sure that it's fully implemented.
We recognize the importance of trade because it's trade that, in fact, led to the dark middle passage, the transatlantic slave trade. But obviously, we want to be able to trade and grow economies and make sure citizens benefit from a trade that is progressive, that is deliberate, and looks after the well-being for our citizens. So I want to express my deep appreciation for hosting me and my delegation. I appreciate you.
Let's get you to the Jubilee House right now, because President Mahama is making some bold declarations following this meeting that we've been bringing you details of. Let's take you to the Jubilee House right now.
Exist for travelers. I wish to assure you, Prime Minister, that Ghana remains committed to working with your government to ensure the full and smooth implementation of this important accord. In the same year, we also signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Culture, Trade, and Education, as well as another on political consultations, creating a structured platform for dialogue and coordination on key areas of mutual interest. I'm pleased that just yesterday our Foreign Minister, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, and Honorable Joseph Andal, Foreign Minister of Grenada, co-chaired the inaugural session of the Ghana-Grenada political consultations. I'm confident that this mechanism will produce practical outcomes that deepen political, economic, and cultural engagements between our two nations. Distinguished guests, the relationship between Ghana and Grenada exemplifies an excellent model of South-South cooperation. During my productive discussions with Prime Minister Michel earlier today, we mutually agreed on the importance of expanding our collaboration in key areas, particularly those that utilize our comparative advantages for mutual growth. In the health sector, Grenada's interest in recruiting Ghanaian nurses and allied health professionals presents a valuable opportunity for structured collaboration between our two countries. Ghanaian health workers have gained international recognition for their professionalism and their compassion. And we're keen to explore arrangements that address both our national needs and Grenada's health priorities. In education, we can develop partnerships through teacher exchanges, student mobility, and research collaboration. In agriculture, there's potential for collaboration in climate-resilient farming, food security, and agribusiness. In renewable energy, we can work together to promote cleaner and more affordable energy sources that align with our sustainable development goals. And in heritage and diaspora tourism, Ghana and Grenada can jointly promote cultural connections that honor our shared roots and provide economic opportunities for our people. Your Excellency, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which has its headquarters here in Ghana, offers a historic opportunity for Caribbean businesses to tap into Africa's integrated market of over 1.4 billion people. The Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, ACTIV, is another avenue to strengthen the trade and investment connections between Africa and the Caribbean. However, one significant barrier continues to hinder our cooperation, and that is the lack of direct air connectivity between the Caribbean and Africa. Despite being only 6 hours apart by air travel between travel between our regions can take nearly a full day, often routed through Europe or North America. This limitation restricts the movement of people, goods, and services between the Caribbean and Africa. We must collaborate to change this situation. Creating direct air links between Ghana and the Caribbean is not just a matter of convenience, but a strategic necessity. Such connectivity would unleash significant opportunities for trade, tourism, culture, and education between our people. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to touch briefly on an issue that holds deep meaning for both our nations: reparations for Africa and the people of African descent. As the African Union champion for reparations, I see this cause not as a plea for charity, but as a demand for justice and restoration. The African Union's 2025 theme, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent Through Reparations, rightly reflects the core of our collective struggle. At the African Union Mid-Year Coordination meeting in July this year, I stated that Africa calls for reparative justice is no longer a whisper, it is a unified demand grounded in historical truth, moral clarity, and our unwavering commitment to dignity. Grenada has long been a brave voice in this movement, and I look forward to Ghana and Grenada collaborating alongside other partners in CARICOM and the African Union to promote this moral and historic cause. At the UN General Assembly this year, I served notice that Ghana intends to file a motion at the United Nations next year to declare slavery as one of the greatest crimes against humanity. And Mr. Prime Minister, I know I can count on your support and the support of our colleagues in the Caribbean and the African Union to support this motion. Your Excellency.
And that's the President, and we'll get details of this if you stay with us on 3news.com and as well as on News 360 Ghana tonight a lot later with Kemini Amanor as well. But we're going for our very first break this afternoon. When we return, we're in the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi, where online drivers, ride-hailing app drivers, say that they could be going on a strike because of attacks on them and service charges. We'll get the full details when we talk to Ibrahim. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. It's still News Central here on TV3. I'm Kemini Amanor. Let's take you across the regions now. Ride-hailing app drivers in the Ashanti region are threatening to strike over security attacks and high commission charges. These drivers in the region are issuing a warning to service providers and authorities to withdraw their services in a widespread strike if urgent action is not taken. Let's connect now with our correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar, who's been covering this story closely about the growing discontent among these drivers. Ibrahim, what else can you tell us about the situation?
Well, the drivers have been recounting some harrowing experience that they've encountered, and they cited a recent one that occurred at Barikesi, where a driver was robbed of his personal belongings and even his car, and up to date, they've not been able to locate where the car is. Then another incident that had to do with a driver being beheaded. He was murdered by some people who were posing as passengers, and other also experiences. So the argument is that the current safety features on the apps are insufficient, and for that matter, they are calling for more robust identity verification process for riders. Also compounding the security fears is the long-standing grievance of what they describe as high commission taken by the ride-hailing companies. Initially, they started with 10%, but currently they are being charged 28% per trip. And this, they say, makes it quite difficult for them to even be able to cover their operational costs and even earn any better wage. So they have just issued a 1-week ultimatum for their demands to be addressed, and failure to do so, which they say they will be left with no option than to go on strike. And this means that it is going to have severe impact on transportations in and around Kumasi. Let's listen to what they have been sharing with me. Set upon is the regional deputy secretary for these online drivers.
We are drivers, when we are signing up on their system, we are being asked to bring our Ghana card. So our names and everything is valid. They have our pictures. When the rider requests, they see our pictures, but we don't see the riders their pictures, and it's a big threat to us. So somebody can use any name. You see somebody will request to come, killer, VS, there, essentially to say pussy. You see, if that person harm you, how can you track that person? So it's a security threat to us. They should do something about it. And because of all this, they are pressing us to accept all the trips. Because if you don't accept the trips, they will decline you or they will block you. But there's something they call driver score. When you don't accept the request, your score will reduce. So maybe the better take you to a place that is very dangerous. Because you don't your score to reduce, you need to accept it, and it's a very tedious for us. So what we need the app community to do is try as much as possible to let the riders use a valid name, use their Ghana card. We want to see their pictures so that in any bad circumstances, at least they can be able to.
Well, Ibrahim, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent.
Now, the murder of a 54-year-old man on a farm in Palehose, a small farming community in the West district of the Poultry region, has left residents there in fear. The deceased, Dela Adovo, was killed on his farm in September. His body was later found in a shallow grave in the stream near the farm. TV3's Faisal Abdul Idrisu has more.
Kujo Dela Adovo, now deceased, left his home at Palehose to the farm in the early morning of Monday, September 1, but failed to return. A day after his mysterious disappearance, his body was found buried in a shallow grave in a stream closer to the farm by a community search team. Weeks after his gruesome murder, I walked into his home and met his grieving families. I usually went to the farm with him, but that very day, he went ahead because I had a few things to do at home. Hours later, I followed up with food, but when I got to the farm, I didn't see any signs of him. I called him out, waited 4 minutes, but I didn't hear from him. I became alarmed and got back home to inform the family. We proceeded immediately with the search team to go and look for him, but there were no signs of him until the following day. We found the body buried in the stream with cuts on his neck and some parts of the upper body. The incident has left residents in shock and fear.
Women, they normally go far away. We never heard of anything like that. So it was the first time. Majority of the people there, they can't access their farm again, especially the women. They even fear.
Oh, the feeling. In fact, my farm is right at the area where the incident happened. Since then, I've not been there again because the fear, because actually we don't think it's only one person. We know there are others. There are other suspects.
You suspect there are others?
We suspect there are others.
You suspect the person in custody may not be the only person to have been involved?
No. Because the way the whole thing happened, if you see it, it can't be a one-person work.
Where I stand is some 300 meters away from the outskirts of the community, but you still have to walk some 15 minutes to the scene where the victim was murdered. But that place is currently inaccessible because of the heavy downpour in the area. The good news, however, is that one person has since been arrested in connection with this crime and is due to appear in court on Thursday.
At the whole district court 1 this morning, suspect Frank Henyo appeared in court. The court heard that the docket on the case has since been sent to the office of the AG for advice. But residents from the community, clad in red, besieged the court this morning to make some demands.
Our brother is a communist and he's involved in everything we do in terms of communal activities. We are here to also seek for justice because we believe strongly that this act is a teamwork and that it cannot be a work of one person. And so we are appealing to the state agencies, particularly the security agencies, to engage their machinery and apparatus to be able to bring all the people.
The agitated group of residents known as Justice for Kujo Movement proceeded to the office of the Attorney General to present a petition demanding that the case be expedited. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News.
Now, Ghana is saving some $300 million after renegotiating its independent power producers. This year's budgetary allocation to the energy sector is $28 billion, and this is to pay energy sector shortfalls, a situation the sector minister is highly concerned about, projecting next year's shortfall at $35 billion. If the situation is not contained, the minister further reiterates his outfit's commitment to acquiring more power plants, but at affordable and competitive prices. Well, George Quainin is joining us with a bit more on this story. George, what else can you report?
Kemini, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. We are coming to you live from the Electro Volta House here in Accra and actually accommodates staff of VRA. And this is where the engagement is actually taking place. The sector minister, John Abdullah Jinapo, is in there with the staff of ECG. Prior to this very engagement, he actually met, staff of VRA, and a lot of things came to bear. He talked about the energy sector shortfalls. Of course, he's concerned about it. He also wants to make VRA very viable. And Richmond is here with me. Richmond Roxon is the spokesperson for the ministry, and he has sat through this very, engagement. Richmond, so far, how would you describe this very meeting with, staff of these energy companies?
Good afternoon to you, and let me say good afternoon to your cherished viewers. As part of the Honourable Minister's mandate, he's been visiting the agencies under the ministry. So far, we've done about 12 agencies. This week, we've been to Tema Oil Refinery, we've been to other agencies, and today we are at ECG and VRA. Basically, it's to engage with the staff, understand the concerns of the staff, let the staff understand the policy direction of the government and his vision as minister. And you can tell that the staff are happy There are concerns that the minister has put across. For example, when you take the ECG, is giving an update of where we are. For VRA, it's also giving an update to the policy direction of government, how strategic we want to place VRA as the primary institution when it comes to generation capacity and then the vision in general. So yes, the engagements have been good. Concerns have been raised. We've responded to those concerns. And at this point in time, I'm sure that everyone is clear when it comes to the minister's vision.
Let's look at how much, it goes to IPPS. And so if we actually win ourselves off that, we'll be saving some lot of money. And I don't think the time is now.
No, significantly. And then that is the goal. If you look at what the minister said, when we entered into the Ameri transaction, after 4 or 5 years, eventually the plan became that of VRA. And that is where we need to go. Because if you look at how much we spend as a country on IPPs and then energy sector payments alone, from January to date, so far, the government has spent $1.4 billion so far. And this is significant. If you look at the data from 2017 to date, enormous. So the goal is to ensure efficiency, effectiveness, and then to make sure that we own and we take charge of some of these plants. If we don't do that, as the finance ministry is saying, this year we're spending $28 billion on the energy sector alone. Next year we're projected to do $35 billion, and we need to be effective and efficient. And that is where the minister is talking about. If you look at the savings with IPP renegotiations alone, we've saved about $300 million per the committee that was put together by the minister, chaired by Ben Boachi. And so that is where we are going. If CG's revenues have improved, the procurement inefficiencies that have been seen over the period has changed. If you look at last year's budgets for ECG when it comes to procurement, which was around $9 billion, what they've done this year, they've done $2 billion. You can imagine the savings. And this year they are rather procuring material things that they need for their work. And so that is the vision of His Excellency the President, being championed by the minister. At the end of the day, the goal is to ensure that we have a cleaner energy sector, especially when it comes to power generation for our people.
So the minister mentions that this very whole challenges, it gives him sleepless night. I don't want to be in issues. How critical is that?
No, it's critical. I mean, well, if you look at the beginning of the year, at the time the minister took charge, in December 2024, we're shedding load of over 700 megawatts. It has never happened that during Christmas and also in election year, you're shedding load. It should tell you how critical the problem was. So from the beginning, beyond that, by the time this government took charge, even fuels for IPPs and to power the thermal plants were not available. And as minister, when you take charge of situations like this, and you are told that you have 2,500 containers sitting at the ports, you are told that there's a debt of over 80 billion with ECG alone, I mean, definitely it should give you sleepless nights. The good news is that progress has been made. The government has turned around the corner. We can all experience it. When it comes to the sector, I always say that the name of the game is evidence. And if you are sleeping with your lights on, then it should tell you the work that has been done by the minister. And so definitely the sleepless nights has paid off. As he says every time, we're not out of the wood yet. We require about 400 megawatts to plan because demand is increasing. And once all those plans come to fruition, be rest assured that as the people of Ghana, that at all material times we'll have a constant supply of electricity.
In all these challenges, the minister has promised stuff of, ECG 13th month.
No,
somebody he's giving a green light. He's giving a green light. Somebody was like, yes, they don't deserve this. They said they kept the light. There's been some sort of improvement according to the minister.
No, it's been massive improvement for ECG. Where the minister sits, he has the data, he sees the books. I give you one example. If somebody has a budget of 9 billion, 2022, 23, 24, they had a budget of 3. They spent 9 billion. So you had a budget of less than 10. You're at the end of the 3 years, you did about 30 billion. And then if this person has cut costs, today you have a budget of 9, he's doing 2.2. And then we see the lights on, the maintenance work they've done.
Well, George, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. George Quenin there in that conversation with the spokesperson for the Energy Ministry, Richmond Roxon.
Let's end with the leader of the United Party, Alan Kojo Chermantain, because he has questioned the NDC government's commitment to the fight against illegal mining. He told Roland Walker that while the current government may have political will, it lacks a comprehensive, result-oriented strategy to effectively tackle the menace. Here are excerpts of that exclusive interview.
To be very objective, I would say that they are making an effort. They are trying. it is clear that there's the political will to get things done. But unfortunately, they have not been able to articulate a comprehensive and I would say
strategy,
results-oriented strategy and policy framework. You know, the things that they are doing are not entirely consistent. And for me, I feel that they should look at my 10-point plan, an agenda to stop galamsey. And I've talked about this. I've put this out in the media as part of the
GTP.
By the GTP, you know. And if you look at the GTP, it speaks very much to what we need to do about stopping galamsey. And of course, I know it's not all about this topic, but I hope that we can do a follow-up interview just specifically on galamsey. So I think the government has the will to try and get something done, but it's not going far enough. And I think it's such a serious matter that the government must really now come to terms with how they can decisively deal with it. So the position that they've put in place some measures and they need to give that some time to work. I don't think that is a way.
That's the leader of the United Party, a really interesting name, a choice of name actually.
It is, isn't it?
Movement of change to the United Party. It's got a lot of people talking, I have to be honest, and we look forward to their participation in the politics of the country because, I mean, politics is one thing that interests a lot of Ghanaians, and so we look forward to how it all plays out in the lead up to 2028. Still quite far away, but we look forward to it. That's our bulletin for you this entirety of the week. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Kemini Amanor. I'll see you a little later on Ghana Tonight. Next is Reality Catch Up. Bye-bye.